Okay, so today we are talking about Twitter growth. And this is going to be the agenda for today. We're going to talk about why Twitter. I'm sure if you're here, you understand why, how to get started. We're going to go through a Twitter cheat sheet, a couple tips, something interesting about Twitter ads, some Twitter tools, and a couple bonuses if we have time. And then I'll take any questions at the very end. So let's get started. So why Twitter? I think there's a couple reasons why Twitter makes sense. One is the strong organic reach. So Twitter has strong organic reach, LinkedIn has strong organic reach, TikTok has strong organic reach. Platforms like Facebook doesn't have a whole lot of organic reach. Instagram, it's kind of a hit or a miss. The organic reach for Instagram used to be a lot better. That's one. Number two is there's great communities. So a couple communities that I'm a part of is like the direct to consumer and the ecom Twitter. There's also a SaaS Twitter. So with the platform that I'm building, I'm now joining SaaS Twitter. And there's quote unquote this money Twitter where people are selling courses and doing other things like that. For you, it might be the same, it might be different. It might be a different community, whether that's, B2B Twitter, or maybe that's another type of Twitter community that I'm not aware of. Number three is access to big time people. I'll show you guys on the next slide or two some of the people that I've got to connect with through Twitter. And then the last few, right, is Twitter provides tons of opportunity to get clients, consulting, course sales, newsletter growth, speaking opportunities, advising opportunities, and great ways to kind of find business partners, find people that can work for you, find people that you can work for. And then the last thing is, as you have a big audience, you can get immediate feedback at scale. So for example, if I post a poll, I can get maybe hundreds of people responding pretty quickly. If you think about Elon Musk, he's getting millions of people responding to polls within minutes, if not hours. And then, the posts that I create on Twitter, if those do well, I'll include those in, newsletter content or content that I create for other platforms as well. So for the first, 3 or so months of the year, I was at about 9.4 million impressions. Year to date, I think I'm just over about 12 to 13 million. So, 5 months, almost 6 months, I'm about 13 million, right? So getting a few million impressions per month, which is really powerful. And then, as I mentioned, so here are just two examples of people that I've connected with on Twitter. On the left is Chris Pronger. He played in the NHL for 20 years. He's been following me on Twitter and LinkedIn. And then the founder of Zappos, the guy that sold Zappos, the original founder, Nick, he's a part owner of the Golden State Warriors. He found me and bought my course from Twitter. All right, so now that we understand why Twitter, let's talk about how you can get started. And in this section and throughout other sections, I've gotten tips from some great Twitter follows, tips that I've made up, and just people that I've spoke to, the things that they've said. So let's talk about how to get started. Number one, as with anything, you have to pick a niche. So think about these few things: what you're good at, what people are interested in, what you can monetize, and what you're passionate about. If you can find the sweet spot for all of those different types of things, then you're going to really be able to do well on Twitter. You're going to be able to create lots of content. You're eventually going to be able to make a lot of money from it. And you're going to continue doing it because you actually really enjoy it. So for me, email marketing was that sweet spot, right? Something I'm really good at. Lots of people are really interested in email marketing. It's something that I can make money from, whether it's through courses or an agency or whatever that might be. And it's something that I'm deeply passionate about. And as my account scaled, I've started talking about like building and scaling a business and copywriting. But at the very beginning, all I ever talked about was email marketing. And again, if you look at my profile, right, this is like your landing page. This is the first impression that people get. You want it to be optimized for whatever it is that you're going to specialize and focus on. So you come here, right? My title is email marketing nerd, email revenue, email marketing agency, email secrets. Need marketing help? DM me. So everything about me and kind of what I'm communicating is email. For you, it might be email. It might be SMS. It might be paid ads. It might be LinkedIn content. It might be recruiting. It could be any of those things. And then for here again, for example, content. So all my content typically is about email marketing or copywriting. So I'm very focused. People know me for these things, and I really stay in my lane. The next tip is you have to create a memorable personal brand. So you have to make it easy for people to follow you And you have to make it easy for people to remember you, so that way they recommend you. So here's a couple things that we want to do. Number one is have a simple or straightforward handle and name. For me, it's Ecom Chase Dimon. So it's e-commerce because that's the industry I play in. And it's Chase Dimon, which is my name. It literally could be email Chase Dimon or Chase Dimon email. It could be any of those things, but make it simple and straightforward. Number two is have a good looking profile photo, right? It should be you, maybe you and your family, but make sure that it's a high quality image and that you leave it there because people are going to remember seeing your profile photo and they're going to want to keep it. So I haven't changed my profile photo probably in the last 8 months, let's say, maybe even longer, and I don't plan to change it. The next one is make sure that there's alignment across your photos, your bios, your tweets, and your threads. So again, I went back to my profile. I talk all about email, my bio. The content I talk about, it's all about email and copywriting. So you really need consistency at each of these different step points. And then two more. So is being original, making sure that you have specific as well as tactical advice helps. And then be remembered for something. So again, this goes back to the niche that you pick. So with these examples, right? If you guys know Nick Sharma, he's the D2C guy. That's kind of what his personal and memorable niche is. He's the D2C guy. With David Perel, he is the writing guy, right? So for me, I might be the email guy. For you, you might be the email gal, or you might be the SaaS guy, or the paid social girl, right? Like brand yourself as whatever it is that you're going to focus on. So this is kind of something that I got a little bit of help with, but you want to build out your profile matrix. So for me, I'm going to share kind of how my profile looks. So my voice, I'm not ever polarizing, right? I don't really talk about things that shouldn't be talked about. I don't call people out. I'm really just focused on playing nice, not swearing, and I'm really focused on bringing people together instead of creating differences. And again, if you want to be polarizing and that's you, that's great. If you want to create differences versus being uniting, that's okay too. That's just not me. So I really make sure that everything I create really falls in line with my personal mantra. So from there, what are the things that I'm going to write content on? And what are the things that I think about? So my themes and my beliefs are email, copywriting, e-commerce, building an agency. My family is really important, sales and systems. So these are the things that you should be really good at and really interested in. Then from there, you want to have those things being drawn from your experience. So the reasons I'm able to talk about email and copywriting and e-commerce is because of the jobs that I've had, because of the relationships that I've had, because of the failures I've had, because of the lessons that I've learned, because of the things that I aspire to be and the projects I've taken on. So these all build on top of each other. So that way you can kind of really build this matrix around the content that you should be talking about and the voice that you should be talking about through the experience and the lens that you have. And you have to structure that content. So for me, it's comparing things, it's industry statistics, it's before versus after, and it's screenshots. So building on that, we also want to talk about this thing called a trust profile. And you guys should absolutely be filling these things out after, like for yourself. So actionable, right? So all my stuff typically is tactical and something that you could implement. I don't really like giving a whole bunch of fluff. Most of the time when I'm talking about something that's actionable or a tip or a trick, it's something that you could and should be doing. And it's something that's going to work for your business today as well as in the future. Then from there, it's aspirational, right? So stories of growth. We all started from zero and now we're here. So I've been on Twitter for about 2 years and I've gone from 0 to 70,000 followers in 2 years. So I'm sharing obviously now on this call, as well as on social and other places, how I've grown and letting people know that I wasn't special. I got a little bit lucky, but I created content very methodically through all these things I'm telling you guys today. And that's how I grew. I'm also focused on analytics. People always want to understand numbers and data and what that looks like. So for me, I study e-commerce, so that way I can extract insights for all of you. And then the last one is really important. It's around studying people and behavior. So the psychology behind why people do things, the psychology behind why people click links, the psychology behind why your subject line and your call to action link should be the same. So sharing these types of things really build out the profile that I have around being an e-commerce email marketing expert. Okay, so we're now going to talk about a Twitter cheat sheet where there's different steps in what you should be doing on Twitter. And this was helped from my buddy JK, who some of you guys might know from Twitter. So 0 to 1,000 followers. These are the things that you should be doing. So again, making sure that your profile shows that you're an expert on one topic. So pick email or paid ads or CRO or SEO or SMS or a whole host of other things that I didn't list. That's one. If you can, you really should be writing 2 to 3 threads per week. Threads are the single best way to grow on Twitter. So whatever topic you pick, so in my case, email marketing, I would write 2 to 3 threads per week. You need to tweet 4 to 5 times per day. I know it's a lot, but you have to tweet 4 to 5 times per day. And you really need, through your content, whether it's a thread or a tweet, making sure that you're proving your expertise. So I'm an e-commerce email marketing expert, and this can be seen through all the tweets that I post. And again, at this stage, really make sure that your tweets are actionable. That way they're shareable, they're memorable, people are going to screenshot them, and people are going to bookmark them. This is 0 to 1,000 followers. So then 1,000 to 10,000, right? So you've grown from 0 to 1,000, and you want to go from 1 to 10,000. So again, you have to maintain threads. You don't necessarily need to do the 3 threads per week or the 2 to 3, but you should at least do 2 threads if you can per week. Instead of the 4 to 5, you can probably get away doing 3 to 5 tweets per day, but you still want to double down on making sure that you're showing your expertise and that your tweets are very actionable. And then at this stage, right, as you're growing and as you're scaling, think about the courses, the offers, the lead magnets that you can create around the questions that you get asked the most, whether that's from in your agency from clients, whether that's on Twitter through people in the DMs, whether that's people posting on your content. Start building things like a free newsletter, a free course, a thread of your threads, a paid newsletter, a paid course, products and services, because as you grow and scale, different people are going to want different things from you. And these are great ways for free, as well as getting paid, to educate and add value. So the next one is from 10 to 1,000 plus followers and beyond. So again, at this point, you're growing pretty well and you're probably busier at this point. So you can do 1 to threads per week. I probably do 1 thread every other week at this point. I would like to do at least 1 per week. It just, I've got a lot going on, but I really would try to do 1 to 2 threads per week at this point, 3 to 4 tweets per day. And at this point, you still want to do actionable content, but you have to mix in some platitudes. And I'll show you an example in 1 second. And then from there, you really want to post social proof that your stuff works and begin selling things to your audience. So let's look at an example. This tweet right here is very actionable. So change your call to actions to call to values. And then I give a few examples of what that looks like. So one of the examples is get started. Instead of saying get started, you want to say create your website. Another one could be, instead of saying find a job for you, get hired today. So you don't want to tell them what they have to do. You have to tell them what they're getting. This is an example of an actionable tweet, whereas this is more of a platitude tweet. And you want to mix in the two because you want to make sure that people share and engage and comment in different ways. So Gucci sells luxury, not clothes. Mercedes sells status, not cars. Apple sells exclusivity, not technology. So the best companies sell feelings, not products. So you want to make sure that you go back and forth between the two. I'd probably focus on maybe 2 or 3 actionable tweets for every platitude. You don't want to overdo the platitude, but you do need some of it as you scale. Okay, so that's kind of the framework there. Now I'm going to kind of rapid fire a bunch of tips and tricks. I'm going to kind of list them off here, and then I'll show kind of some examples and screenshots as we go. So with Twitter, you have to be A, patient, and B, kind of consistent. And this is making sure that you have quality and quantity posts. You need the right mix. You can't go so much for quality that you don't post enough. And you can't post 10 times a day and all of them suck. So you really need like that 3 to 4, that 4 to 5 really good posts per day, because it is a volume game. And then again, we talked about this before, but optimizing your profile is so important. This is essentially your landing page. Your username, your profile, your bio, and your pinned tweet need to be very thoughtfully, optimized and constructed. Make your tweets easy to read. Make sure that you have proper spacing and make sure that you delete unnecessary words. Offer value, right? People are going to remember you and like you and support you because you're offering value. Value comes in different shapes and sizes. It could be educating, it could be informing, or it can be entertaining, or it can be all of those. The next one is engage with your audience. Make sure that you respond to comments, make sure that you respond to DMs. Then from there, make sure that you engage with others with similar followings as well as larger followings. So make sure that you comment on the posts from larger followings, adding value. And then the magic happens in the DMs. If you can find a way to add value to influential people, popular people, nice people, you can add value to them, DM them and offer to help. Don't just take. And then be original. So, okay, that's that part. The next part is packaging threads. So if you write threads, package them and make people retweet or comment or like to be able to get it. So I did this one a couple months ago, about 3 months ago, where I told people these were the 3 biggest and most popular threads I ever had. If you want the PDFs of these, just retweet it and I'll DM you it for free. This one had, over 1,000 retweets, had almost 200,000 impressions. So if you write good content, package it up, make it easy for people to download it or get it. I collected, on this one, I ended up collecting, I think it was like an insane number of emails, but this was basically the DM that people got once they automatically retweeted it. So they said, here's the PDF, here's where you can make it free. So I got 1,800 people download that. So I got 1,800 people's email addresses from a single post packaging threads. Work smarter, not harder. Think smarter, not harder. Okay, so the next one is whenever a platform has something that's native, take advantage of it. So in this case, Twitter acquired this platform called Review, which is an email marketing platform. And if you use that, you can add it on your profile where all people have to do is click subscribe and they auto subscribe. They don't have to go off platform and their email address is already defaulted. So I've done this over the past couple months and I've gotten about 635 emails specifically from Twitter. So again, if platforms have something native, make sure you take advantage of it. This was 635 emails that I may or may not have had otherwise. Plug something. So as my tweets do well, I'll plug my newsletter or something. So for me, if I get more than 50 or 100 likes, I'll plug something. So for here, this copywriting tip had 783 likes. So I posted after saying, by the way, I also have a copywriting newsletter that goes out every single Friday. Join for free. So make sure that when something goes viral, goes well, that you're promoting something of value to you, but also something of value to the reader. Retweet your own tweet. So after every couple hours, I'll retweet my own tweets. That way it resurfaces back on top of the feed so other people can engage with it. I don't see as many people doing this or not many people talk about it, but retweet your own stuff after a couple hours or a couple days. Ask for retweets or buy them. So I don't ever sell retweets. I don't do that, but people have asked me before like, hey, I would love for you to retweet this or love for you to do this. Would you do it? And most of the time I don't, but if it's one of my friends, I'll try to help them out. But here's just kind of interesting people that have asked me this. And I know other people sell retweets and I know other people would do this as well. So this guy on the left said, hey, I dropped a good one this morning. I'd appreciate any love that you can give. The other guy said, hey, thanks for following me. I'm launching my first company tomorrow. Would you mind retweeting or commenting? So maybe barter with people, maybe offer to pay them. I don't know who specifically does this, but it's a good way to grow. Promote outside of Twitter. So on my Instagram and on my LinkedIn, I promote my Twitter. So you have to use your other platforms to grow your Twitter. And over time, your Twitter will then be able to grow your other platforms as well. So this is just an Instagram story and a LinkedIn post of me promoting different Twitter accounts that I have. So share adversity. Again, don't try to be perfect. Don't try to be overly buttoned up. Share honesty, share losses, share wins, share adversity. So for me, I have Crohn's disease. And I talked about every other week, I have to get an injection in my leg, which is basically medicine. So I talk about this and I had a bunch of people reach out in the DMs saying, hey, I've got Crohn's, or I've got colitis, or I know someone that has these things. So sharing adversity is really important because we're all humans. And again, on that same point, share losses, not just wins. So once in a while, I'll share like a weekly report card where these are the wins I had. I've invested in a car wash. I signed 3 sponsors for my next event. I had 100 people purchase my agency course in the first few days. And I bought the .com for my design tool. But here's the losses. I've been fighting a cold and my new course got ripped off, right? So balancing the wins and the losses. I have a sense of humor. So my daughter, Shay, This was, I don't know, maybe about a year or so ago. I posted this when Shay couldn't talk, saying, hey, Shay couldn't talk, but I asked her something, and this is what she said. Dad, remember that the subject line is the most important part of getting people to open your emails. So just be funny, have a sense of humor, be relatable. And then from here, right, leverage other people's audiences. And I know I'm quickly going through these, but this guy right here reached out, and he basically told me that he's putting together this thread of the top people on Twitter and their best tip. And he name dropped a couple people that had already committed. This guy only has 3,300 followers, but the tweet that he did ended up getting almost 1,000 likes because he curated content for me and other people with big followings. And when he posted it, we all shared it because we contributed to it. So this was a really interesting way for this guy to grow his following through leveraging other people's audience. Again, same type of thing. George here says, if you have less than 1,000 followers, the reason you're not growing is because you're spending too much time tweeting. Instead, go reply on big accounts and borrow their eyeballs. So he thinks that the best way to grow is commenting on other people's accounts and getting the exposure that way. Okay, I know we've gone through a bunch of these, but pin a popular post. So if one of your posts does well, pin it to your profile. Again, when people come to your profile, they're going to see this pinned tweet and they're going to be able to gauge whether your content's good or bad. For me, this one has over 3,000 likes and has about 1,000, has 800 retweets. So this is a really good one for showing people that I create good content. All right, so those were rapid fire tips and tricks. Now let's talk about Twitter ads. So I personally love leveraging Twitter ads to retarget and target my own followers. I don't see anyone talking about this or doing this. And I spend about $500 a month just displaying popular and important tweets of mine to my own audience. So everyone bashes on Twitter ads. I use it this way, and it's been pretty successful for me. So all you have to do is you go into the ads manager, the very bottom, there's this section that says additional options, and then it just says target your own followers. So that's what I do. Okay, Twitter tools. So there's a couple of Twitter tools that are recommended by a lot of people. One is Tweet Hunter. So it helps you find the best tweets on any topic. So Tweet Hunter, I don't know if they have a free version. They might have a free version, but I'm on a paid plan. There's one called Twemex, which basically is a browser extension that automatically surfaces the most interesting ideas. So check that one out. There's one called TypeShare, which helps you basically create essays and threads and publish them and get data on the audience. But my favorite, because it's free, is Twitter Advanced Search. No one talks about Twitter Advanced Search. I don't know if people are using it, but go check out Twitter Advanced Search. Okay, a couple bonus tips. So this was a couple weeks back, but I asked people, what's your best Twitter growth? I'm going to go through a few of these. So someone said, spend just as much time engaging as you do creating content, especially early on, right? It's a social network. You have to be social. Comment, DM, like, engage with other people that are your size as well as larger. Next one is talk about how people can make money and how people can make more time and freedom, and how people can do both. Consistently post content with these undertones and you will grow. Again, this is around psychology. People want to make more money and people want more time and more freedom. And if you can find a way to leverage both of those, even better. So the next one is put your audience first. Think about the problems they have and write about the solutions to those problems. So for me as an email marketer, I know the things that other email marketers are thinking and the problems that they're facing. So I'm going to write about the solutions to those problems. And then again, this is a great tweet, but 3 ways to grow on Twitter: threads, threads, and threads. Study them, follow great thread writers, and ship them. Threads are by far the best way to grow on Twitter. Throw your ego and help others without selling them. The more pragmatic, actionable, and empowering the content, the better. Use GIFs and emojis as a way to express your real world personality in platform. Twitter is a reading platform. The more personality you can give your readers, the better. And then there's 2 ways. So join an engagement group and write threads to promote them, or comment on big accounts in your niche on a daily basis, and then start writing threads. And this was a newer account that I made. This was a couple weeks old. I think this account now has like 4,000 followers. But when you create content and you add value, people want to follow you. So thank you. If you're not following me on Twitter already, ecom Chase Dimon. And then if you're not following me on Instagram, Chase Hunter Dimon. So that is kind of really quick and dirty the way to grow on Twitter.